What are the three most important questions you should ask a realtor when you're looking to put your house on the market? And are they going to give you straight answers? It's The Real Estate Show. Welcome to The Real Estate Show. My name is Rick Naples. I am the owner-broker of Zone Realty, LLC. You zone your home. First off, let me start with a small apology. I was out late last night. I was at an event. I was one of the guest speakers, and my voice is a little bit hoarse this morning, so hopefully we'll get through the Real Estate Show here and I can convey to you the information I want to get to you without my voice running out on me. When I opened the show, I said there are three questions you should ask a realtor, or three questions you should ask when you're going to put your home on the market. And those three questions are: how much is it going to sell for? How fast is it going to sell? And am I going to be required to do major repairs on the home? Now let's look at each one of those questions separately. When you're thinking about putting your home on the market, one of the first things you're going to do is you're going to meet with realtors. And a realtor is going to come out to your home and they're going to do what they call the listing presentation. This is where they gather all the information together about your house. They've done some research on your home. They've looked at comparative properties like your house in the area, what they're selling for, what they've closed at, what kind of issues there may have been, and so on and so forth. And they come up with a general price. Now, the first question, as I said, is, what are you going to sell your home for? In other words, how are you going to price your house? What is the price of your house going to be? Now, if a realtor says, this is what the price of your house is going to be, and this is what it's going to sell for, God bless them, because quite honestly, you can't really predict what the house is going to sell for in exact numbers. What you come up with is you come up with an estimate based on those comparables. In other words, a small range. You see, what drives the market is not the price you want on the house. It's the price that the buyer is willing to pay on your house. So the answer to the question, how much is my house going to sell for? You don't know the exact amount. You have a general idea. You know what you'd like to get for the house, and you're hoping that a buyer's going to come in and make an offer close to that price. Now, that's not to say some buyers out there are not going to offer you your asking price, especially if you priced your home sharply to the other homes that are on the market. Buyer may come in and realize this is a great opportunity, it's a great buy, and they'll just, no fooling around, they offer you exactly what you're asking for. But in most cases, the buyer has to take into consideration how much money they're putting down when they're going to finance the house, what they might need in monies for closing costs, and also what kind of monies they may need to do any repairs that the home inspector recommends being done before they close the house. And all these factors come into point as to how confident they are with the value that they're going to offer or the price they're going to offer when they make that offer on your home. Now, those are all variables, so we really don't know. We do our best as realtors to predict those things. It's really important in the listing presentation during that time with your realtor that the realtor asks you to go through the house with them. Now, some realtors, they do all the research and the background. They're real bookworms. They're very good with numbers. They'll do all the analysis, and they come out and they present this wonderful report, and they say, here's where your house, or about where your house should be priced to. What do you think? They haven't looked at the house yet. So what I always recommend is that a realtor that comes out to your home talks about area pricing, but then says, in order to determine where we're going to price your home, I would like to first take a tour of the house to see its overall condition and talk to you about features and so on and so forth. because based on that realtor's experience, they'll know whether the house should be put in a price range towards the lower estimate or towards the higher estimate. And then they can make a truthful recommendation of about what your house should be when you're putting it on the market. But as I said, that doesn't guarantee you're going to get that price, because buyers drive the price as far as what your home is going to sell for. Let's take a quick look at this little presentation with some information, and I'm going to be back to talk about the second question. How fast is my house going to sell? Again, I apologize. My voice is a little hoarse here, so I'm trying to do the best I can to convey this information to you. At the opening of the show, I was talking about the 3 questions you should ask a realtor, or you should look at when you're putting your home on the market. And the second question I want to talk about is a very popular one, and that is, how fast is my house going to sell, or when is it going to sell? Now, that's another variable type question as far as an answer is concerned. You know, we as realtors have access to a lot of data and a lot of information that's out there. And we can look at counties and territories, even specific townships, and see what time it took from a house went on the market and how it was priced to when the house actually sold. And we could come up with estimates. We could say that a house priced in this range, based on this kind of market, might sell in 40 days or 45 days or sooner. But again, it's kind of a variable, because some houses have come on the market and they've sold in a day, where other houses have been put on the market and they lament on the market for 6 months, sometimes a year, and for one reason or another, a buyer just doesn't come along and make an offer that's acceptable to the seller. You have some control, though, on how quickly your house is going to sell. Now, what I mean by that is that if you price your home very competitive to the other houses that are in the market so that you get offers, the time that it will take to sell your home is going to be shorter. But you have to make a decision as to what your motivation is when you're looking to move. Everybody's situation is different. There's all kinds of reasons to sell a house, whether you're scaling up, scaling down, being relocated for a job, whatever the reason might be, that's going to guide the time. So if you price your house a little bit under the going market, it most likely will shorten the time that it takes to get an offer and get the home sold. Now, when is the house actually sold? This is very important. Let me talk to you. When your house is on the market and you set your price, and a buyer comes in and they fall in love with the house and they make an offer, and you accept that offer on your home, is the house technically sold at that point? Well, a contract is signed between you, the seller, and the buyer, agreeing on what they're going to pay for the home. But there are a few other steps that have to happen before the keys are going to actually transfer from you to the buyer. 2 of those most important stages are the bank finance appraisal amount and the home inspection issues. Now, let me just talk a little bit about those. A long time ago, I did a real estate show, and I said to everyone, there are 3 prices on every house. There's the price the seller wants to get, the price the buyer's going to pay, and the value or appraised value the bank's going to put on the house. Becomes the realtor's job when they're looking at those range of prices to try and price the home in such a way that's very competitive to the market, that's going to get some offers to come in, and those offers are going to be at about what the appraisal value is going to be on the home, so that there's no problem for the buyer to get the financing. And that's an important step, because if the buyer can't secure the financing on the home, appraisal issue or not, your house is not sold. It's going to have to go back on the market. The other thing you need to think about is the home inspection. Every single buyer out there is going to do a home inspection on the home. Now, there are some times when a buyer's not going to do a home inspection, but those are very rare, because the realtors, if they're doing their job representing a buyer, explain to the buyer how important the home inspection is. Now, during that top-to-bottom examination of your home, the home inspector is going to create a list. And in that list, they're going to have recommended things that they want the buyer to pay attention to in the near future. They're going to have a list of those things that should be corrected right away. And then they're going to have just a general list, which is kind of advice on regular maintenance. It's the things the home inspector points out that should be done right away that maybe you as the seller were not aware of. You know, we live in our houses and we just live with all its bumps and grinds and all its little problems, and we're used to it and we really don't pay attention to it. But the home inspector comes in and he sees that small spot on the wall, or he sees that stain on the ceiling, something that you may not consciously be aware of, and he points it out. And he puts down what the reasoning for those things could be. He also looks at the age of everything in the house, the furnace, the roof, plumbing, and so on and so forth, and can make recommendations. This sometimes, with some older homes that have not been 100% maintained or updated, causes some problems, because a buyer may say, okay, in order to continue with my offer and make this deal solid, I want the seller to fix this, fix that, and do this. So that's another part of the negotiation that you have to go through in order to solidify that contract. So in answer to the question I was asking in the beginning, when is your home going to sell, or what actually is a sold home, is pretty much an offer has come in, it's been accepted, the appraisal has come in, it's worked out well, gone through the home inspection, you've agreed on the points that may need to be repaired, now you're all set to go to the closing. And that's when you truly can say your house is sold. It's really interesting because some realtors will practice little tricks with the signs in front of your house. For instance, when a contract is made and a contract is signed, they may hang a rider that says under contract. They don't hang sold yet. They'll hang a rider that says under contract or contract pending. That's another one that I've seen. When the buyer gets their commitment for the mortgage, they may change that sign that says something like pending sale. And then when they finally have gone through the home inspection and everything's great, and now all you're doing is waiting for the attorneys to get the paperwork together to schedule your actual closing date, that's when the realtor may put the sold sign actually on the front of your property. So a number of things to consider. So far we've talked about the pricing of your home and the variables that are involved, and we talked about when your house actually is going to sell, or how much time might be involved, and how you can, affect that amount of time, and the different processes that are involved to actually talk about your house being sold. Let's look at this, and when I come back, I want to talk about that third question. It's about home inspection repairs. So this last part of the show, I wanted to talk about the home inspection itself. Now, when a home inspector comes out to your house, they're going to spend a good 2, maybe 3 hours, depending on the size of your house, in the home with the buyer that's made the offer you've accepted. Common question is, you as the seller, should you be there for the home inspection? The answer is no. Now, here's the philosophy behind that. You want to be able to let the buyer and the inspector have some private time in your home to talk about the house and some of the issues, if any, that the home inspector is going to see. You don't want to influence the home inspector. I had a situation a few years ago where I had somebody, the seller, attend the home inspection, and every time the home inspector cited something, the seller had an excuse for it. This kind of made the buyer very nervous because they thought, geez, the inspector's telling me this, the seller's telling me that, who's speaking the truth here, something's going on. And what happened in that particular situation, the seller blew the deal. The buyer got so worried, they backed out of the contract completely, and their reasoning was the inspection was unsatisfactory, and that was it. So as a seller, don't be there for the inspection. Now, should the realtor be there? Well, the buyer's realtor should be there with their buyer. This allows them to get first-hand experience information on what the home inspector is telling the buyer as they're going through the home. Because the buyer has the right, when they do a home inspection, to list up those things that they feel should be taken care of before you close on the property. And that's based on the home inspector's findings. The realtor, the buyer's agent, because they've done dozens of these home inspections, they've attended a lot of them, can help advise the buyer as to what things the inspector's saying are the true things that should be tended to. Because I'll be honest with you folks, you read some of these home inspection reports, even on brand new construction, and it makes it sound like the house is ready to fall apart. So there are certain things you've got to kind of read into them and understand what the inspector is actually saying. And this is why it's so important to be at the inspection, so you can actually hear the inspector, because what they're saying they're going to write in the report. The part of the real estate show I call the real estate mailbag. It's my opportunity to address questions that are sent to me here at the real estate show, or just talk about whatever the topic is that I'm presenting here on the show. And I'm talking about the 3 questions that you should ask when you're interviewing a realtor and getting ready to put your house on the market. And that's where it's going to be priced, how fast is it going to sell, and are you going to be required to do any repairs? And again, all 3 of those questions do not have solid answers. They're all variables. How much the house is going to sell for depends on what the buyer is going to offer and what the seller is going to accept. How fast is it going to sell depends on how the house has been priced as far as its competitiveness to other houses like it on the market and the seller's specific need. Are you going to be required to do repairs? Depends on what those repairs are. The final thought is simply this. The home selling process is not a real quick, easy process. It takes time. It could be 45 to 60 days after you get an offer that you accepted because a number of different things need to happen. The best thing to do is rely on your realtor for their advice and their guidance as you go through the real estate transaction and work with them as a team to get to the point where the buyer is happy, you, the seller, is happy, the realtors are happy, the bank is happy, and all the attorneys have to do is put that paperwork together so that you can get the keys to the home. My name is Rick Naples, and this has been The Real Estate Show. I thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.